Howdy, 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 everybody, and welcome to the World Racing League here at Circuit of the Americas here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Austin. I am joined by Daniel Dwyer with Marco Barbonera up there in the commentary box and in the production book as well. So he's wearing multiple hats today. Daniel, Marco, welcome to the finale of the iWRL.
Yeah, really excited here for the last race of the first season of 2020. Definitely one of my personal favorite tracks as well. So lots of fun stories here I'm sure we'll talk about during the race. Marco, how you feeling?
Oh, fantastic, guys. It's comfortable 3 a.m. here in Italy, but for the first time in the season, air conditioning is on, so we can resist the heat. It was 35 degrees Celsius high today here, which probably is not very indicative to you guys, but it was very hot and very humid, so this is the perfect time of the day to enjoy some racing. And this is certainly Austin's favorite racetrack, the real favorite racetrack of Austin. I think also is a local racetrack, so he's sure to give us a very insightful look at the newest North American track to make its way into the F1 calendar.
I certainly can. I've been around here a few times in a lot of varying different cars, whether that be open wheels, some GT cars, and from time to time a 1999 Toyota Camry with a V6 just strapped in there. This track is just absolutely fantastic. Going to drive around on your own and just have a wonderful race, as that was a beautiful drift that we just saw Greg Crusoe pull off.
Yeah, looks like the drivers are having a little bit of fun with the hot surface today. You'll see on the right that we've got 106 degree track temperature. We should be expecting that to cool off as the race goes on, but that should add to the tire degradation, much like we saw a couple races ago here.
Yeah, tire degradation is going to be pretty big, 106 degrees, and COTA has a little bit of everything. It's got high-speed corners, it's got medium-speed corners, and it's got low-speed corners, as we're riding on board with JT Tommy as he enters the slowest part of the track, the arena section. And this is the hardest part on tires because it is so low grip in this area and so prolonged on these tires that you just want to get up and at them on the accelerator. But when you do that, it just upsets the car. And then you got this long triple right-hander around the tower. You got to undulate the speed. And then that final two corners, I call this one Haas Hill, because that's what it's called during the F1 times, and it's just always stuck with me because, well, I'm a Stuart Haas fan as well. And then the last corner, it's so tricky. You don't think much of the last corner, but this last corner, you have to nail this one to really get a great run up to Phil Hill.
And I couldn't agree more, Austin. I think, we watched a lot of corners there, but that turn 20, it's interesting in that there's a little bit of a dip as you come into the apex of that corner. And so if you're trailing the brake just incorrectly enough, it tries to over-rotate the car on you. So you really got to let the car settle in that dip. It's a bit more tight of a corner on the exit than you'd expect. It's really easy to run into the off tracks. So, we'll see a bunch of drivers really deal with that today, and hopefully there isn't an issue with drivers having a cut the course warning.
Austin, if you are, if our viewers are, let's say, more experienced with North American, IndyCar, for example, or the what is now called the GT World Challenge America. This is a bit different. iRacing very much uses the F1 track limits, so you won't see people, taking
using the 21. Yeah, they're going to use a 21 turn layout like IndyCar does.
Yeah, you will see drivers more or less trying to stick to the path and not to the scenic route that IndyCar especially liked to take. But I think it starts to guide you through the starting grid, starting, of course, as per usual, with the GTO field.
Yep, GTOs one final time. Ryan Galloway is on pole ahead of John D. Price, the Texan, putting it on the front row as well. He's followed by Chris Pius, Leif Peterson, Greg Crusoe, Michael Johnson, Aubrey Kundal, and Darren Dean in 8th place. And that is our field for the GTOs. And GP1's Paul Savonik takes pole ahead of Daniel Sadro. Jordan Muster in third, Brian Savelski, and Chris Jennings, top 5 and only 5 cars in our GP1s. Our GP2s, well, there's 2 of them, and it's going to be a fight throughout the race, and I can tell you, JT Tommy and Ian Mayberry are going to have a fun race in front of them today, and I really want to see some more Mustangs. And then our GP3 field, Jerry Joseph, Todd Carver, David Stab, and Simon Foweather. Those 4 MX-5s going to have a very fun race in front of them today. And I don't believe we're going to be worried about a bunch of lap cars because this track is wide.
And wide it is, especially on the entry into turn 1. I mean, when you look at turn 1 as we're coming down, at the race start, you'll see that it's about 7 cars wide on entry and about 8 or 9 Miatas wide. But on the exit, it really narrows down coming down into turn 2 to 4 or 5 cars wide. But really easy to get some contact there when you've got some big fields all starting together. But I think given the size of the field we have today, I'm not expecting too much contact in turn 1.
Yeah, I'm not expecting any content at turn 1. It's sector 2 that I'm concerned about. Those medium speed switchback S turns. You go through there side by side, and I can tell you from the Global MX-5 Cup there at IndyCar last year, one of our fellow commentators was actually in that race, and side by side through there, and it didn't really end out well. And I can tell you, as somebody who was sitting in that turn section, me and my entire viewing party went at the exact same time. Oh no, please don't tell me they're going to go side by side through there. They're going side by side through there, and giant crash.
And so for the viewers that aren't super familiar with this track, you'll see on the track map, there's, the track is segmented into 4 segments by these red dots. So in that twisty, zigzaggy section, you'll see there, the S's, and they're all decreasing radius from one to the next. So each S that you go through, it gets tighter and tighter. So going through too wide is actually very difficult because the track has some subtle camber changes throughout.
There's a nasty bump on the exit of turn 2 in that the second S, and there is just a nasty bump. My goodness, I swear this track is very bumpy, and they just done some resurgence on there, but we'll talk about that later as safety car pulls off, and for one final time, the iWRL is going green, green, green here at Circuit of the Americas.
And we'll see Rye Galloway come up into turn 1. He's, it looks like they're already creating enough space to, avoid contact this early as the tires start to warm up. But I imagine there'll be some duking it out as the race goes on. But it looks like the GP2 or GP1 field is going to be a bit more action than we've seen for a couple races here if we can keep the cars together. It looks like their times are really close.
Yeah, everyone is staying very close, very good, and very clean with each other. No real incident. Some people taking a more luxurious line through the S's right now. But from what I can see on our event viewer, only one car really did go off. Oh, no, I spoke too soon. Ian Mayberry, one of the 2 GP2 cars, is in the wall.
Oh, no. I love the Captain Crunch livery, though.
Oh, yeah. Crunchitize me, Captain. Yeah, he just smacked that curb.
Yeah, just lost the rear end there. That's and so this is kind of what we were mentioning earlier.
Oh, okay.
Those S's, there's a little bit of those camber changes mid-corner, and so if you don't set up for them early enough, it really makes it tough to catch up and regain the car. But, this section of track, I think you mentioned this might be one of your favorites earlier.
Oh, yeah, I had one memory here, just going into it, and then the braking zone. It's a bit tricky, especially if you don't know the track, but when you do, it just feels so wet when you just send it up the inside heading into turn 13. But this is the best place to battle slow speed. You can swap inside, outside, and it's also a great place to watch. Also with the smell of just Texan barbecue in the air on a race day.
On race day, the only barbecue I smell is hot brakes and brake pads. I can't seem to find any other sense on the racetrack.
You haven't raced in Road America, I guess. The smell of bratwurst is everywhere.
Oh, yep, Johnsonville brats. Looks like Ian doesn't seem to have any major suspension damage or anything, so he'll probably continue on as is.
Yeah,
He avoided
he's
the
looking
wall.
fine.
He avoided the wall. I don't know how, but he was able to stay clear of the wall. Let's say a big hello to Sam Fitzpatrick. He's getting ready, for, he's one of the hardest working commentators here at Apex, but, once he had a broadcast with me at like 2 a.m., which was like 1 a.m. his time, and he was completely destroyed. And now he's getting used to this late night broadcast. Maybe he will keep us company a bit more in the future, this late in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love to see more people getting tuned to the American times, the
This
right
was because,
times.
by the way, Austin jumped to the ship at the last second to do another broadcast. So basically, we had to draft Sam as an emergency replacement.
I was needed, okay? I didn't jump ship. They needed me.
And so this is a little change of pace. We're seeing Galloway is it's only 2 laps in, but, we aren't seeing a enormous gap separate between him and Mr. John Price or Chris Pies. It looks like the strength of the draft on a few of these long straights is enough to keep the cars close. So hopefully we get a little bit tighter battle for the GTO lead this race. Earlier we did see Carver and Joseph duking it out through the S's, but it looks exciting
they've
as they go
settled
on
down.
board for Price.
Price in the arena, going through the third hairpin of the lap. I don't really consider that turn really a hairpin because it's more like a double apex corner, and then it's just overshadowed by the giant triple apex corner going underneath that tower and heading up into the final 2 corners, not the IndyCar line, and just the room gained a little bit wider, but that draft on this track, it's so wide and so fast, especially for regular cars. It's pretty much a flat-out race, and you can race on the edge with these cars, and it's just so fun to race in GT cars because this track, designed for F1, is made difficult for F1 cars, but in regular cars, it's a blast to drive in. You can take any car you drive on the road right now. I drive my Camry around here all the time, and I feel like I'm racing 100 miles an hour. Well, I am racing 100 miles an hour, just flat off, and I don't really have to worry about I need a brake for this corner or I should probably lift off, and I don't want to lose the car because A, you got all this runoff, and B, this track just lets the car drive itself. And by drive itself, I mean correct itself, and you don't have to worry about it doing some weird stuff on you.
Yeah. Well, and we mentioned a couple times about the bumpiness of the track. I think in our onboards here, if we can, watch some of the drivers as they come up through turn 1 and down into turn 2, you'll notice that a lot of the bumps that the F1 drivers were complaining about in the most recent, GP here, they don't exist here in turn 2, so you'll see that it's pretty smooth through there. And so I think the track scan, it's definitely from earlier. And so we don't have a lot of those.
There's a bump
issues.
here. This is the bad bump right here.
Right there.
And
yep.
on the exit right here. Just this entire area. Now, the reason why is because this area is very clay-like, and it's very soft, and the track is merges up and down. But that's not like a local issue. They're like, oh, they built the track in a bad area. The entire area is like that. Not where I'm at, because I live on stone. So I just can't dig into the ground. People here, they're like, they're constantly like on moving foundation, so they have to dig just crazy deep into the earth to have a stable ground.
And Musser is really giving Sylvanek a run through for his money down here in the arena section. I like a couple of Musser's lines through there, and we've said it all season. He definitely charges in on entry a little bit harder. It makes it really fun to watch as these two duke it out through some of those corners.
TCRs around here are just beautiful to watch as Musser, great entry through turn 19. as he's closing in on Slavonic, but Slavonic is just, his line is very defensive, even if they're taking the same line, but he's kind of a little bit later on exit and trying to force Mustard to either A, duck out of the preferred line, or B, lift off and giving all the advantage back to Slavonic, which is a cheeky tactic taught in racing schools, as Slavonic getting a little bit sideways through turn 1, but he's at TCR front roll drive. It just saves it as we go into turn 2, and Lone Star S's 1, 2, a little tap of the brakes. Once more, let the car do all the work through there. It's just so
tight to the right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, push the front just a little too much speed on entry there.
Don't want to pull a Ferrucci and get it into the grass on the inside, which he did do, and I was sitting right there. He made a 2-car pass on the grass on the inside of that turn coming out of the S's, and I've never seen that actually done before. Very hard on the brakes heading into turn 13. Then he got this long straight, and then you go into the arena as we watch Galloway and Price enter battle.
Now you can see these the first hairpin in the arena section here, it's 2 corners, but it really feels like 1, and the same is true here. You've got all this asphalt on the left that feels like it doesn't exist. That is the only point you care about, is just hitting right against the curbing there, because all the rest of the asphalt just puts you out of position for making, you know, your
look
entry
at that.
that triple A.
Look at that.
Ooh.
Oh no, Slavonic round the outside, gets it to the side of Mustard, but Mustard looking for the switchback. Mustard giving a little piece of his mind, get his bumper a little bit dirty right there. But Slavonic, well defended, went around the outside. Mustard tried setting up the inside, but the beauty of that corner is you can go so wide through there and carry so much speed. Let's watch this over again. Mustard, very late down the inside, and Slavonic, not even phased. They both gave each other the track. A little bit of netcode happened right there, and they did bang heads and a little bit of bump mid-corner.
They're definitely tight racing there, but it doesn't look like anything dirty, so that'll be fun to watch. Back to another pair that are known for their battles all season, Joseph and Carver. We've seen them go back and forth. You know, it seems like Joseph has had the advantage in the most recent few races, but had a couple unfortunate events that, put him back in the standings. So, yeah, you watch these two use all the track. I mean, they're on every curb at the track limit everywhere.
Yeah, these
Really
MX-5s just allow you to just move the track and use the track to your advantage and just use all of it. And to the draft that these cars provide always gets great racing, especially with a track that has giant straight. Like we saw in Indianapolis, it was impossible for these guys to separate. And at Daytona.
Yeah, you know, on the topic of separation, you know, there is a 4 to 5 second gap between, the 1 and 2 position here in GP2 or GP3 and the 3 and 4 position. And, you know, we're used to seeing Simon Foweather keep up with the lead pack here. So I'm not sure if he got stuck a little bit behind in traffic and it just wasn't able to make the pass, or if Joseph and Carver just are that much more efficient here on track.
Well, also, you have to remember that Ian Mayberry, he had that earlier spun. He had to go through that entire group, and that caused some separation. And, oh, we got a big dive from the 2 Audis right now through turn 13. Let's push the 8 GT4 of Darren Dean. And he's down the inside right there. That could be very tight for Musser. He's lost a lot of time through there. Dean is unfortunately not on the pace. I think something's happened to him, actually, because he dropped way off the GTOs. Oh, here's Ian once more. I think he's serving a slowdown penalty, but I think he missed another one of those.
Yeah, his name flashed in red for a bit, so probably jumped the chicane. And of course, 22 seconds and a half away for Ian, so he really needs a little bit of help to get back. And you can see he's now, thanks to this slowdown, barely in front of the GP3 field. You can see there on top of your screen the separation between the classes. That's the fastest lap per each class. And as you can see, 2:18 for the GTOs, 2:21, 2:30. and then 2:35 for these very, very, very competitive MX-5 cars as we go back to the lead.
Yeah, the MX-5 racing is just always beautiful, but this racing up here between Galloway and Price and GTOs, even more beautiful.
You can see they are trading lap times. You know, it's a bit of a back and forth in terms of who's quicker between the pair of them, and they are trying to make a little bit of a gap between themselves and Chris Pietz and Liv Peterson there, whilst now Slavonic and Massa are still very close, and now they are pulling away from Daring Dean. We haven't talked about this, but there was a good chance that things could have been changed with the latest iRacing season 3 release, as Mayberry heads for pit road, because they basically had made a change during week 13, which made the TCR cars around 2.5 seconds slower than they are right now. That change has been reverted before the start of season 3 in iRacing, therefore we haven't had this change in iWRL competition, and that is why still we have some overlapping between the classes. Daniel Sadro and Brian Jabelski are also coming in very, very quickly on Daring Dean. That's struggling a bit with his GT4 Porsche. Hopefully this change will be reverted back, or they will change something, but the TCR community really complained, and I think it was not the smartest of ideas, because now in the officials we have still this problem that the very quick TCR cars are again getting into a little bit of trouble with the slower GT4 cars, and maybe with that change there things would have been a bit better, but who knows, we didn't have a chance to try it in official competition, so yeah, things haven't changed. Maybe for season 4, which will begin in September, I think, if I'm well later than usual, because we have a 13-week season this time around.
Marco, that's actually really interesting. So for a league like this, how do you imagine the balance of power fixing that? Like, should the league kind of take and penalize the power, or add a weight penalty to some of these GP1 cars to try and create a little gap and prevent some of the interference between the classes, or do we like it that they mix it up a bit?
These TCR cars that we have in iRacing are based off the first of all based not on the European TCR, like quote-unquote pure rulebook, but they are based on the of course IMSA version. So in IMSA already they are a bit slower than they are in Europe, and also we are having here on iRacing the DSG version of this Audi RS3, which competes in the WTCR, the World Touring Car Cup, but they're getting closer again. The DSG cars are usually a bit slower than the traditional gearbox cars, so these are already very slow TCR cars. Super fun, I love them. So I think slowing them down even more with more weight or a bit less engine output could make them a little bit too much sluggish to drive. So I think iRacing made the right call with the new tires, but the community was very, 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 very vocal about it. So maybe whilst still I think we need a TCR only series on iRacing in the officials, as Galloway gets the fastest lap of the race in his class. I think that maybe making them run on a bit of a harder tire compound like it was done in week 13 could be the right choice, the right decision to create a little bit more I love touring car racing, therefore I think that the better they are alone, the more fun you have, even though of course being multi-class racing, this is also part of the rules, no? That you have to share the track with other classes. So it's a difficult balance to get. I think iRacing got it right, but again the community was very vocal, so we will never know.
And we got Daniel Sadro trying to make his move past the Dean here, just like we've seen earlier. But yeah, I guess he'll be smart and try and pick his place to pass. It looks like he'll have a little bit of a tough time through the S's, though.
Yeah, I believe Dean's just been struggling with the S's right now, and the S's are a little bit tricky to get right. In the MX-5, you just have to bash your brake on the entry and then just let the car go through. But these TCRs, you kind of have to dance with the throttle and brake to really get it working. And the GTOs, like we've all seen on how difficult that they can be from time to time, and they're pretty stubborn. And Mustard eats that curb and went two-wheeling right there at the top of the hill.
Very quickly, a fantastic lap from Galloway that comes just at the same time of a terrible lap for Price. And look at that gap, 1.6 seconds now, and some lap traffic now getting in the way of the leaders.
Yeah, those MX-5s going to start separating up those GTOs, and Galloway has been using those MX-5s to his advantage of picking his way through there. So we run up board with Mustard. He's looking down to the inside. I think we're going to be seeing a dummy send. Yes, we are. Extremely hard on the brakes, but not a send. But he's looking down to the inside and just easing his way up forward. But now, side by side they go into the double Apex hairpin. Slavonic down to the inside and takes back P1. But now we got another double Apex hairpin. Are we going to see a switch up from Mustard? They're both defending down to the inside. No, Slavonic stays in first.
Man, I love this part of the racetrack, and you were right, guys, in saying that, you know, in F1, unless something crazy happens, you have to follow the car in front of you through here because you lose such a big amount of downforce. But with any other car, I mean, this is beautiful. It's so wide, you can take so many lines, and this is a battle that will be very, very tough to break up unless we get in some shenanigans with the traffic, because, I mean, these guys are very equally match that we've seen that for the entirety of the season, as Jared Joseph is in the fence.
Oh no.
No. That's his race. That is his race. Was he turned?
Looks like so.
Doesn't look like there was contact, though.
It looks like, I think Price turned him.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Who is it? Price hit him. And oh, that is just a extremely unfortunate place to hit in between guardrail and barrier. That reminds me of a 2002 NASCAR incident at Bristol where the guy's car was just torn in half. And that is the one spot of the track that you do not want to make contact right there, because he has to go throughout the entire lap now of that damaged car. But knowing Joseph, he's one not to give up, and I think he'll still be fine throughout this race. If he makes a pit stop right now, he still will have some damage on this car, but I think he will stay on the same lap.
I think you are referring to Mike Harmon's crash, if I'm not mistaken.
I am.
It was unbelievable that he made it out in one piece. I mean,
the photo of him just stepping out on the right side of the, well, what used to be the right side of the car is incredible.
Yeah, so, you know, looking at some of the pit timing here for Jared Joseph, and it seems like this is a pit time that could work. He'll definitely need some significant fuel saving to make it to the end of the race. You know, it looks like a minute or so, which is, you know, meaningful on this track, but you know, maybe a little more depending on how he's managing his throttle inputs. But this might actually work in terms of not costing him a tremendous amount of time, and that he'd have to take 2 pit stops. So, you know, we'll see how that goes as the race comes on. But you know, as he enters the pits, it looks like he's 14 seconds back. So, you know, we'll see after the pit cycle if he can gain any of that back.
Well, if he doesn't speed into the pits, and the speed limit here is extremely slow because you have to just nail that pit speed limiter on point with it, or else you're just absolutely screwed. And they got that turn in front of there, but it's got a little short shoot where you need to accelerate to maximize your time. But it looks like Mr. Joseph is doing all right and is getting a full-on service with his car.
yeah, I'm surprised that he's taking tires. Maybe he forgot about removing them. He took a fast repair. You see that car brand new now, and he will go out very soon.
You know, Marco, it's I feel like when I'm in a race in the Mazda and I do take damage to the corners like that, you could kind of tell that his front toe was pretty messed up, and he maybe had some suspension damage before that. I find that if I don't take tires, the car doesn't drive as if it's brand new, even after a quick repair, and so it feels
right.
like.
Yes. Absolutely. No, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, but I'm stupid because I forget that with these new tire models you can get punctures, and I think punctures are not replaced with a fast repair. Therefore, you can get your car, very, all spanky new. You go out and boom, your car is still dragging somewhere, or the tire is a bit, not sitting nicely on the track. Absolutely, great point, Daniel. I absolutely forgot about it.
Yeah, especially when the tire flies off the car, you kind of need to get it replaced.
Not that I know anything about it. I never crash.
Thankfully, I'm the test dummy here.
You know, our car's had a couple wrecks on this track also. So, one car-to-car rub in turn at the top of turn 10. And then 2 incidents with the wall, one on turn 20 and one in turn 1.
I'm not surprised about turn 1. I'm surprised about turn 20.
It's that decompression zone. The car started over rotating and brought it against the inside wall by the start finish. Yeah.
Oh, just a little bit too much mustard right there. Because we got a nice camera shot right there.
Ooh,
I don't know if Marco
pretty.
I don't know if Marco has the DOF turned on for him, but if you have depth of field turned on, that was just beautiful.
I tend not to use it because every time there's a new iRacing update, it can mess up the cameras. Like 2 builds ago, it completely made all the cameras out of focus that we made. So I think I'm not used. No, I don't use it usually, unless I'm like 100% sure. And iRacing just made some big changes to the cameras, so. It's still very, very dangerous to do.
And while we were having the camera conversation, we had a great shot of Rye Galloway just taking all of turn 11 there. I mean, all the way from the outside to the inside apex and back out, real smooth on power. And we've seen him do really well here in the last 7 races, really. But just that smooth roll on power, managing traction. I mean, it's definitely goes to show he's got a lot of seat time, a lot of practice in the car here, and it goes to show in the gap with Price, as you can see on the screen. It's been slowly growing ever since the traffic inserted itself a couple laps ago.
Yes, let's take a look at the lap time comparison. As you can see, yes, the gap is increasing, and the lap times will tell the truth there. He's gaining, especially the last couple of laps, quite a bit. Of course, lap 7 was a fantastic 2:18.048. That's the fastest lap of the race.
They had to deal with some lap traffic last lap, and last lap was when we saw Price get into the MX-5 of Jared Joseph, and now Price is in a fight with Pies. Maybe Price has some damage on his car, but I don't see any real smudge of evidence of damage from that small tap, though.
It looked like a very small tap. That place is, of course, very dangerous to contact because the cars are like in a dynamic state. They are already turning. There's all sorts of different forces applied to the car. So a little nudge. And these MX-5s, they really love to get turned around when you hit them in one of the corners. So, but maybe he lost a little bit of concentration. And of course,
he just ate a curb right there on the apex. So that. You don't want to upset your car going in there because that will just set you up bad for the other parts of that sector because it's so flowy through there as we're watching one of the GTOs of Darren Dean deal with Sadro. And Sadro is getting into that money zone where it's just a huge just dip on the apex.
And so, we saw Sadro right up against Dean, I want to say 4 or 5 laps ago, when the gap was only about 6 seconds to Slavonic and Musser, and he's been unable to make the pass, or has chosen not to, either or, for these last few laps, and it's really cost a few seconds to the lead pair. So as time ticks by, it lessens the chance that he'll be able to move up from a P3 on the podium here.
Seems like, as per usual, the quick TCR drivers are gain an advantage in the corners, and then the GT4 car a bit more powerful on the straight and can pull away. And of course, the way this track is shaped and built, like in two halves, now you get half of the track is very long straights, and the other half is very technical corners. So it's a very fine balance and not very easy. And look at that, now we have a bit of a traffic jam here with also, I think that is Jared Joseph. No, sorry, that is...
No, that is Todd Carver.
It's our leader, you are absolutely correct, Austin. That is the worst situation possible when you have 3 or more different classes all battling for the same piece of real estate. That's usually in endurance racing and in multi-class racing when bad things start to happen, but they make it work. And look at on the straight, the Cayman, how quickly it pulls away from the... Oh, maybe too quickly. Okay. That's an equipment failure, probably. Went straight on.
Yeah, it didn't look like there were any brakes there at all, so that's...
This isn't the rallycross track. No brakes, no brakes, no brakes. Oh, that is just so bizarre.
As you can see,
I never seen that.
Yeah, massive damage also to the front of that car.
I've never seen that happen before.
Speaking of jumps and bumps and whatever, I don't know, Austin, if you ever had the pleasure to race in the West, I think, configuration of this racetrack on iRacing. I did with the Skippy a few seasons ago, where the track basically cuts to make the shortcut as Carver comes in.
I've done it in real life. I haven't done it on iRacing.
On iRacing, at least there is a massive bump and the skip barber. Then you have to take like this very quick S that you can sort of shortcut through it, but if you cut a bit too much, you get a penalty. So a nightmare, a real nightmare.
I think he also got a puncture from that as well.
And so
wait,
we
he
see
stayed
Todd Carver
out?
come into the pit. Seems like the car is drivable.
I don't think he's aware that his entire hood is missing.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, the car doesn't seem to have any terrible suspension damage after that. For somehow,
True.
We're not seeing the car crab.
He did hit it. He did hit it square on. So both suspension has been dealt with the same way. I'm surprised on why Todd is in the pits.
It looks like Todd took the pit strategy to come out here near Joseph.
Undercut. Try to have a little bit of fun.
Possibly.
Let's see
And so, you know, what we saw when Joseph went into the pit after the contact was that Joseph was 14 seconds back.
Cold tires. Cold tires, Todd.
You see the pit times are absolutely identical.
Oh.
Yeah, man, that was a bit of a moment there. Huh?
If Carver does end up winning, we'll have to bring up that replay during the interview here. Just to ask him what his thoughts were at that point.
Well, I could probably tell you in the quote of Lando Norris or Carlos Sainz or both of them, quote, "I'm moving up and down, side to side like a roller coaster, and through that section, if you just hit a bump, you will be moving up and down, side to side like a roller coaster, and you will be entering the 6th dimension, and because the amount of control you had to have over your car as you go through those S's, sideways and just out of control, is unbelievable."
Yeah, couldn't agree more, Austin. Couldn't agree more.
Daniel Sadro comes in as we have a nice aerial view as we hit the halfway mark of this final round of the iWRL season here from Circuit of the Americas, as you know, we are well and truly into the pit cycle for, you know, most of the classes. We are still waiting on the GP2s and GTOs to start their...
The entire GTO field.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, yes, of course. As David Stopp is coming in from the momentary lead in the GP3 class.
Well, he might actually come out in the lead with how much Todd has been struggling with this. But question will be, does he take tires?
Does not look like it.
He's just fuel go. He's going to try to beat him out right now.
This is the pit lane time, you can see.
Oh, it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough.
Yep. Oh,
It's-
what happened? See, have optional repairs and no quick repair on?
Calver
I'm
has
wonder.
gone past.
sure.
Or maybe a speeding in the pits penalty?
Oh, that could be it, because that pit entry is so crucial. So it might be speeding in the pit lane, but he didn't take tires. That's why it's confused, because Todd took tires.
I will show you a replay very soon and see if he took tires or not. I think he did not take them, as you guys are saying. Let's see. You take tires basically straight away, and that car seems to be very flat, therefore no tires for him. So might have been a penalty, absolutely. As Chris Pice comes out of the pits, P7 is the first of the GTO runners to bleed.
Yeah, so that 43.5 second pit lane time end to end will be kind of our benchmark for the rest of the GTO field. We'll see if he's able to make the undercut count against John Price. Those two were duking it out and had a little less than a second between them. Interesting to see if the strategy will, play into the race here.
Yeah, strategy is going to be absolutely crucial. As Brian Zavelski's going into the pit lane, and you can already hear him. He's got his pit limiter already active on that car. But that pit lane, it's like the Indianapolis pit lane. You're so used to it's just very drawn out at a very slow pace. You're just it's like, come on, faster. And I've been in this pit lane, driving and just walking down it. It is long. It's just massive. I remember when the IndyCar guys were here for testing. Everyone was just walking up and down the pit lane, and I was talking with a few drivers as they were waiting for the weather to go up. They're like, and I'm asking them, like, I see you pacing around, and like, it's cold, man.
Man, seems like years ago that that IndyCar test, Austin.
Yeah, where I accidentally walked into Jimmy Johnson.
And so we've got Musser and Slavonic both coming in here. I believe this is turn 13.
Yes. Nope, 14. Hard on the brakes.
Yeah.
Oh,
And you can really see
Musser.
the difference in line as Musser tries to hold it together. Good call, Austin.
They call it the arena for a reason. We've seen some massive drama happen through here throughout the days and throughout many motorsports, either it being Rallycross, F1, Le Mans, or V8 Supercars, iWRL, or my favorite series, Skip Barber Formula Racing Series.
Yeah, the Skippies are actually very fun cars. It feels
And
like
the
driving one of the Mazdas, but just a little bit quicker.
Oh, pit
Ooh.
lane entry. Very scary from Slavonic. Shades of the IndyCar race that happened here, but you can see the difference in pit lane approach.
Yeah,
Musser
was super
very
cautious.
early on the pit lane.
Yep.
But
it almost looked like Musser didn't want to try the overcut, wanted to match Slavonic's strategy here.
this looks like Slavonic lost control going into the pit lane.
Very quickly.
Oh, I thought...
Oh, get on the brakes and hold her down.
Darindin is around again as he towed back to the pits, and here we go. Slavonic and Musser come out, and Slavonic with a much better time, cone to cone, and he's out and has got a 3.5 seconds lead. That small but significant difference entering the pits, very cautious was Musser there, could cost him dearly.
Yeah.
It definitely will do, and both those guys are on the same strategy, so it's just keeping your head down and navigating through the traffic. But the traffic is not going to play a big role as it has done on most of the other cars because it is a wide track. You can fit multiple cars side by side through here, and some are going about 200 miles an hour. Some could go 100 miles an hour, and you would still think you're giving room. Now, it does get a little tight in the S's and the arena section as there is, quote, only one fast line. This is not true in the arena section, but in the S's, it can get crowded in there. But
and while we're chatting, about coming from the arena onto the front straight, so you'll see Chris Pies is on his way through around turn 20, and this might be really close as to whether or not Price and Galloway make it out in front of him.
It's going to be a drag race. Here comes Pies. He's got an MX-5 to deal with. They're on the apex of turn 1, though, so it's not going to be all sunshines and rainbows for Pies. It's going to be blade in the middle of the teeth and Buccaneer time for Pies as he's going to try to search for his prize as he's chasing down Rye Galloway for the net lead.
And we did see Pies take tires, is that correct? Because this undercut. Let's see.
No, they're at the same time. Actually, Pies had a faster pit time than Price. Nope, no tires.
No tires. No.
Okay, no tires. Well, we definitely saw Pies in the camera a couple times fighting through some of the slower GTO traffic. So his early pit stop may have actually cost him his, the value of the undercut.
Also, he had to pass, and I was fighting up with Aubrey Condor at a certain point, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh no!
Oh, no.
I think Darren is having some controller issues tonight because that car took a very strange turn to the right there. Here we go. This is after the pit stop. That is Aubrey Condor in the dark number 4 car, and as you can see, they were battling hard, and then they actually Aubrey came back at Chris.
What a send!
With a nice send.
A little bit too much. They've actually hooked the curb right there. But that was a beautiful send, and if that crowd was real right there, oh, they would have gone nuts to watch that.
As much as it's fun to watch from the stands there, the in-car in that corner is very interesting, especially when you cut the curb, because the car goes for a little bit of a drop, and you definitely feel it from the driver's seat.
And on the left side of the track right there, there's a series about, I would say about 8 to 10 bumps. They're spaced out because that is actually the grid for the rallycross track at COTA, and they have the starting posts that rise up from the ground there, and they're just there permanently, and they're just bumps right there, and like they're off the racing line, but if you're going through there side by side, you will feel that.
JT Temi with a perfect race so far. He's been helped a lot by the fact that AMA Berry has retired 10 laps ago, which I completely missed. So it's just a Sunday drive for JT right now. Takes the time to get a nice pit stop. I would suggest, a nice Italian espresso while he's waiting for his crew to do the job. As we go back to the front of the field, and Chris Pies actually is now fighting with Leif Peterson, not with John Price, who has quite easily pulled away. And this could be Peterson, I think, yeah, he has just stopped from the temporary lead of the race. Therefore, he is in a very good position to fight for the podium as JT Tammy comes out of the pits. And I think that is our entire field with at least one stop. Let's take a look at that with the pit stops counter, and that is quite correct.
It's interesting the Pies came up behind Peterson. That's yeah, very, very interesting that's how that played out, because Pies had a very quick stop. It really must have been some of the duking it out with traffic there.
Yeah, it was actually the quickest cone-to-cone stop of the entire GTO field, as you can see there's a 43.5, and yet he's probably that fight with Kandal really hampered this progression, and he was not able to make the undercut work, which is very unfortunate. But that's I think part of the risk of pitting very early is that you can easily get stuck into some traffic, and that can really undo the risk reward. And this time for Chris Pice that didn't pay off, but he still has a shot at the podium. Peterson is there. Let's see last lap comparison. We cannot do that, of course, because there was a pit stop in the middle, so in one lap time we'll check back with these two guys and see if Peterson is gaining, or if Pice is gaining or Peterson is pulling away. Your leader in GTO, Ray Galloway, your leader in GP1, 5.5 seconds. Look at how big that difference was. Just that very cautious pit entrance for Jordan Masser completely blew the race wide open in favor of Slavonic. JT Tammy, as we were saying, last Mustang remaining in the GP2 class, therefore enjoying a nice drive around Circuit of the Americas. And Todd Carver, 6.5 seconds in front of Jared Joseph, leading the way. But yeah.
And Marco, I think as you mentioned, Jared Joseph's only 6.5 seconds behind. When Jared Joseph entered the pits due to damage, he was 14 seconds and change out of the lead. So he's done a really good job capitalizing on that early pit stop and those fresh tires that he took. I'm not sure if the rest of the field took the fresh tires as well, but
dear.
Look. Uh-oh.
That is one of those corners where it's just absolutely nutty.
The only question I have is that, is Jared, given that he stopped on lap 8, is he good on fuel or not?
It looks like it might be tight given the pit timings of the rest of the field, but we can hope that it'll be a close race at the end.
Also, another
signs point to a maybe, but it's going to be a. He's got to sip on the fuel.
It's 3 laps earlier, but 3 laps around here. 1 lap is 2 minutes and 35 with this car, so it's 3 long laps.
Track.
So it's going to be another interesting thing to keep an eye on. Let's see now a comparison, this time much more useful, between Peterson and Pites, and actually Peterson has gained just a little bit, 0.2 of a second, so no traffic to speak of for the two of them. Oh dear, I jinxed him.
No.
Ooh, the commentator's curse strikes back.
Oh, well, Marco, what do you have to say?
I apologize profusely, and to just make it a bit better for the viewers, let's go for a little bit of a ride on board with poor Leif Peterson.
It's beautiful slow motion.
There's one.
Oh, he got airborne.
Yep.
He hit 3 straight in a row.
Well, the first one didn't appear to upset the car in turn 3 here. It looked like that was fine.
No. That was a small upset, and that just led him along the ride. You can already see him over-rotating the car right here. And,
man.
Oh, 3 wheels off the ground. That's hard on suspension, and the car's upset. And here, this one could damage the suspension, so he might have some suspension damage right there. Just gets absolutely slapped by the curb.
That was, he got all 3 of them, and the third one also, I thought he avoided it, but no, and that's certainly... let's see it from the perspective of Chris Pice, by the way, which give us a nice insight on...
3 of 3 is pretty good accuracy, right? That's worth a trophy.
Yeah, that's 100%. If the trophy is a mechanic bill.
This is the wrong replay, of course, so this is the correct one.
Oh my goodness, you see that and you just have a smile on your helmet, but the amount of speed he was carrying into there, you're for sure just going to see him just like, he's heading into the wall, but surprised he didn't actually head into the wall. Lateral movement, you know, it's good for braking. Would have known.
Yeah, you know, Austin, I think it is a good thing he didn't end up in the wall, because that could make for a little bit of tight racing. All it takes is one mistake by one of these other drivers, and, you know, we've got a race again. Not that we're wishing for any of those, but
Yeah,
they need to be on their game.
Be on our game. And honestly, the amount of mistakes I've ever seen Ryan Galloway make, I don't even think I've ever seen Ryan Galloway make a mistake while leading a race. Now, we've seen Price while following. He's kind of have a few blunders, but Ryan Galloway just absolutely 100% wherever I see him. And this guy is like a robot. He doesn't make mistakes.
You know, that's what happens when you have those really high I ratings, I believe.
3, 2, 1, and brake somehow stopped working.
Ooh.
Well, I tried. Sorry, Peterson.
Yeah, those 4,000 I ratings, you really get a lot of, you know, it
consistency.
just goes to show the amount of time and consistency, you know, that he'll bring to the table.
Which explains why I'm not up there.
Yeah,
Well,
you know,
Austin,
actually pretty good strength of field here, to be honest.
Oh yeah, Marco, what is the strength of
Yes.
field?
There we go, class by class. Huh? It's all yours.
2.2K GTO, 2.5K GP1. GP2 is at a 1.7K in those two cars, and the GP3, 2.3K. So around a 2,000 I rating all around the board. Strength of field, I would say the lowest I rating would be 534, and that was for the number 8 of Darren Dean, who's been struggling all day with this up, and he's been having hardware issues because he was showing a lot of pace earlier. As we ride on board with Aubrey Kundal.
Yeah, you know, and while we're watching Aubrey potentially make a move on Johnson here, you know, for the viewers that aren't super familiar with what this I rating is that we're referring to, Marco, is there a simple version that you could explain it with?
Yes, basically it's based on a formula very similar to what is called ELO rating. Basically, every race, all the drivers that participate in this race put on the line a little bit of their I rating, and if you finish, the system already applies to you. If you finish in a certain position, you're going to gain a bit, or you're going to, you know, the more you outdo yourself in the prediction by the system, the more you're going to gain, or of course the worse you do, the more you're going to lose. Contrary to popular belief, it doesn't matter if you beat quick drivers or slow drivers. Only you and your final position determine how much you gain or you lose. Of course, the higher you are, theoretically the quicker you are, but in reality, the principal mission of iRating is to put you against people of your same caliber. There will be no reason for a guy like me who hovers around the 1.5K to start, you know, racing rookie MX-5s against the rookies and start climbing to 3,000 and then, you know, then jump into a 3,000 strength of field skip barber race and get destroyed, of course, by the much more capable drivers than me. So, you know, many people are obsessed with the I rating. It's nice to have a high I rating, but it's better to have a realistic I rating. You get much more enjoyment out of iRacing if you.
I say
don't
the most important number is your safety rating. That 4.0, that 4.99 or 3.99. I live and die by that blue badge on my license. I always look to be a safe driver around others. Now, in practice sessions, that is a completely different thing because I'm just figuring out the track. So if you see me in the wall, I'm practicing, and you won't see me in the...
That also applies for races, right? If you see me in the wall, I'm practicing.
Austin, I'm gonna have to use that one. As we see Price try and bring it back to Galloway. Now he's closed this gap to 1 second, which is tremendous. But you know, we're not sure. I haven't been watching Galloway's inputs too much, but it is possible that he was doing some fuel saving or trying to save his tires a bit. But yeah, this is shaping up to be an exciting 10 minutes here.
It definitely is looking to be a beautiful finish in the GTOs. And for the last 3 rounds, we've had beautiful finishes in GTOs, GP1s, GP2s, and GP3s. Each race just giving us a battle for the lead or midfield. And this race, everyone's pretty much spread out. We do have this beautiful battle for 5th place with Michael Ray Johnson and Aubrey Kundal, as Aubrey went a wee bit wide in turn 20.
That is not quite the IndyCar line, but close. For iRacing,
It's also the wrong. It's also the wrong turn.
Oh yeah,
it
of
is
course.
an off track.
Yeah. You are right,
Yeah,
Austin.
Turn 20. The IndyCar is turn 19. And then they had that little kink, and I was going by Road America turn rules, and that would be turn 20. Then it's turn 21.
Look at the gain, steady, big gain on lap 21 by Price. Last lap was virtually identical.
Oh, this is just beautiful watching from this blimp view. The amount of time that Price just gained in the braking zone as they enter the arena, and you can just see the different lines available to them as they go into that double apex turn. Both of them go for that wider line, which is so good to maximize time. But in a battle, that is not the line you want to take. You want to hold that inside line as much as you can and then shoot wide and totally negate the outside move right there. But that is opening the door up for a switchback, but that does put you in for a good spot on to that triple right-hander. But you got to be sure that that car that is doing the switchback doesn't have a lot of horsepower, or else they're going to just power past you on that little short shoot before heading into the triple right-hander. So the arena is a mind game of sorts with those 3 hard overtaking possibilities.
David Stubb, I think he was.
Oh yeah, that's off track.
You know.
The amount of times I've done that, especially at the simulator at COTA, I can't count it so many times.
But you know, Austin, you know, I get these messages, you know, all race long, and surprisingly, not a lot of off tracks during the race. Just now, maybe because, you know, of course, it's been a long race, and maybe the tires are starting.
Tires going out.
Yeah. So, but for for the majority,
tires,
very clean.
What is the track temperature, Marco?
Oh yeah, the track temperature is 93 Fahrenheit. It has dropped a bit.
So it's dropping out. So that's giving these drivers a little bit more confidence to, you know, stress that rubber out. You know, elbows out, try to dig in the heels a little bit. So I'm not surprised that these guys are trying to drive on the edge, just a little bit more, lap by lap. Started out with 103, so now it's 93.
Traffic
as the sun is dropping with 5 minutes to go here at Circuit of the Americas. And Price pulled out a 1.5 second gap to well, Galloway's pulled out a 1.5 second gap to Price.
Ooh, something happened.
Oh, hello.
They're about to get
7/10 just evaporated.
Yeah, you are absolutely traffic. They are getting into heavy traffic. Oh, look at that. This is going to be very, very tasty. Here we go.
Oh. Now, through this triple right-hander, it's definitely not a spot that you want to have slower traffic, you know, interfering with the race. But, you know, it looks like we're seeing the Mustang doing its part, trying to stay predictable. We'll see if this pass costs much time or not.
Yeah, he's staying in that line. No, he's not. He's diving down to the inside, and also diving down to the inside is Galloway, but Savelski stays wide. Now we got the 2 MX-5s, and they're going to go 3 wide down across the line. That wasn't for a finish, but if it was, that would be beautiful to watch. 8-10 sets for race Galloway, and Price says, y'all move over. I'm in the fast lane. Even though that is completely opposite, but here in Texas, every lane is the fast lane, and they're going nose to tail, side by side with Stab and Foweather in the battle for 3rd in the GP3s as they go nose to tail with 4 minutes to go, and they're sliding around turn 2, 3 wide. Oh no. Okay, they got onto the brakes there.
Yep.
That would have ended very nasty if they went through there regularly.
You know, we said earlier that 2 wide gets a little bit sketchy in these Mazdas, but you know, I can only imagine the entertainment 3 wide. Yeah.
3 wide is what 3 wide I can just say is like you're a dog and it's Thanksgiving Day and the person taking the turkey out of the oven, it just happens to be a klutz. Something's gonna happen.
You know, sorry.
Oh my.
John Price, the fastest first sector, he has just been beaten by Greg Krosko of all people. So he's really pushing hard. 24.3. So Price is really pushing hard. 0.6 of a second now.
Oh, they're right. They're right with each other too. And in the arena, this is where. This is where all time is gained because mind games and everything with 3 minutes to go and coming up to 2 minutes. So I think we're going to have 2 laps left as they come across the line.
No, I think only one, Austin. They are lapping in the 218s.
I think you're right, Marco.
And my maths are bad,
all right.
But I mean, being corrected by me on this, it's a massive shame for you.
Yes,
and you know
yes.
this.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought it was 57, but apparently I can't tell the difference between an 8 and a 7. So, what? I'm going to let Marco say it because, you know.
Sale la Blanca, il Circuit of the Americas. One more lap.
1 lap to go. Galloway, Price, battle for the final time of the season. Price deep on the brakes. And Galloway just taking his line, not even looking at his mirrors. Price using all of the track to his advantage now. 3/10 separate the Price going all the way out to the curbing as they enter the Lone Star S's. And both of them taking it a little bit perfectly. Price, though, clipping the apex just a bit, getting a little bit upset. That makes him drop back to 4/10, but now he's getting his game back on point as they're going more nose to tail through the ending of this S section and onto the short chute into one of 3 upcoming hairpins.
Yeah, wow, and you really saw Price trade an off track in turn 1 there to gain a little bit. He was able to get on throttle ahead of Galloway and maintain that late braking advantage that he had on the entry to turn 1. But looks like Galloway got a great exit here, turn 11. Coming down this straight, we'll see how much the draft can help Price, but looks like
Price
it's adding
is coming
up.
in like a rocket. Price is coming in like a rocket, and I think that rocket is about to take off in that braking zone.
He'll be patient. Yeah.
I was just so wanting to see an absolute send by Price there, but hey, sometimes lunatics don't get what they want. And we see that wide braking from Galloway and Price going way off track right there. And Galloway and Price, they both thinking the same playbook. They're not going to fight this one out. As hard as I was looking forward to in the arena, this is going to be tight, but I think they've done a little gentleman's agreement that after there it's pretty much impossible to find a actual overtaking spot with them as Galloway. Wait, we got to see this. Okay,
there's some action
no
at
mistake
the
there.
Of the GTO
Takes
pack.
the
Looks like we have
win.
a few passes.
Yeah, we
There's
do.
a
Oh my
three-car pack.
What a move down the
no.
inside. Johnson and Kruzko get in together and taking 5th place. Kundal jumps up ahead.
Wow.
3 wide going into the first turn of the arena on the last lap is absolutely insane. Todd Carver takes the win in the MX-5s as JT Tammy, he's just enjoying. Hey,
Fastest lap of the race, you know. Why not?
I think, Kundal is just lucky as Foweather takes the finish ahead of Staub by 6/10.
Well, if you watch the replay, just a few moments before, Kundal backed off and allowed the other 2 to pass there and caused them to get into traffic with each other.
Here we go.
Yeah, so here's Kundal deep on the brakes into the hairpin, and what a switchback by Johnson. And now Aubrey, they're just the train head as these two are just going to blow by them. 3-car pack. Aubrey just holding on to the outside. Here comes Johnson down onto the inside. And here's Greg Krusko on the back. And Aubrey, oh, that is smart by them staying wide. Johnson goes wide as well. Both of them going off the track. They see what's going on. They absolutely see. They're defending down onto the inside. They're just going to take the... You know, sometimes life gives you lemons and you make lemonade. And sometimes life just takes all the obstacles in their way and throws it out the window. And that's what happened right there. That was some heads-up driving as Paul Savanik takes the win in our GP1 class.
We managed not to miss any single leader finishing. I have no idea how, given the fantastic stuff that we had happening in the final lap. Just waiting for a couple of drivers to finish the race. Just one, to be fair. It's Daniel Sadro. Here he comes. Get some nice extra camera time. And in a second we will give you the final race results in all 4 of the classes. What a way to end the season here at Circuit of the Americas, as we switch to the cine camera.
Is that a reverse donut being performed?
Yeah. The classic reverse donut. Oh, I think we just missed it. Let's try again.
I know you can... Oh my goodness, I've never seen a reverse donut before.
Because, you know, it's the only way to do a donut also in a skip barber, so.
Wow, that was an exciting finish. I mean, that was just exciting.
I think Daniel Sadro is going to go off and up. Okay, you cut away from there. That's a rocket jump location. So if you see a car flying in the background, he hit it. Taking your win today in the GTOs in the final round. Ryan Galloway ahead of John Neprice, Chris Pies, Leif Peterson, Aubrey Kundal, who just snuck away with that 5th place in that 3-way fight with Michael Johnson, and Greg Krusko, who gave the position back, it looks like, to Michael. Yeah, he did. With Darren Dean in 8th, who was just struggling all day. And hopefully next season will be much nicer to him. And those are your results to the GTO field. As here's your GP1 results. Paul Savanik takes the win ahead of Jordan Musser, Daniel Sadro, Brian Zavelski, Chris Jennings in 5th. And GP2 field, JT Tammy takes the win ahead of Ian Mayberry, who, well, we saw he was just... It was hard for him today.
Thank you to Samuel for following us, subscribing on ApexRacingTV, and then, Austin, we have the GP3 results.
Yeah, GP3, Todd Carver takes the win ahead of Jared Joseph, Simon Foweather, and David Stabb in 4th, and this is the only field where all the drivers finished
Interview
on
time.
the same lap.
Who do we have first, guys?
Well, first and only one currently, ladies and gentlemen, Todd Carver.
Congratulations, Todd. What a spectacular race. It's too bad you didn't have too much battle there towards the end, but how you feeling?
Well, I definitely think that it was a battle, but it just wasn't nose to tail. I knew he was running me down, and because he just had the pace, so that was definitely unfortunate what happened to him. We went back and watched it, and it just looked like he just mistimed it, and Jared happened to get nudged there a little bit. But yeah, we may not have been nose to tail, but I can definitely tell you that we were both hustling like we were.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you could definitely see in the lap times that we had, you know, the gap kept closing, and we were commenting on how Jared was 14 seconds back when he entered the pit on, you know, with 22 minutes into the race. And, you know, when everyone exited the pit, he was only 5 seconds behind. So it's really, or 7 seconds behind, you know, really looked like it was going to be a tight battle there for the rest of the race. What were your keys here? You know, once you saw Jared had a few issues, you know, what were the things you focused on to kind of bring it home to the end here?
So really, I was just trying to maintain that gap. You know, like you said, he went in 11. I drove way too hard on cold tires and basically handed him 3 seconds kind of out of the gap, out of the door. So just try to maintain that gap. And I knew when his flat out pace versus my normal pace, once I kind of got it to that window of the number of laps left, I'd be okay. But getting to that point, managing the traffic and everything, I had one scare. I don't know if you guys saw that typical turn 11, just miscommunication on who's doing what, and about had a race over moment with about 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, those are always the scariest moments. So, well, I mean, it sounds like, you were pretty on top of your game. I think this was, a great race. We didn't have a lot of traffic to deal with either. So, what are you going to do in preparation for the, next season here? We might have a few different cars. We'll probably be adding in some, a couple additions to the car roster. What are things you're looking forward to?
Yeah, so Jared and I we may step up a class. We may, sorry.
Oh, did we lose you?
No, my crew chief was yammering in my ear. I couldn't even hear myself. So we're going to look at what cars are offered, and we may basically try to join the class that's the most stacked. And we had some really good competition this year, and we're just looking to kind of keep testing ourselves and keep growing as drivers.
Yeah, well, I mean, really excited to see how you guys do next season after a really exciting season where you two were duking it out every race. Before we let you go, anything you want to call out? Anyone you want to shout out to?
Yeah, of course. First off to my wife, who lovingly and graciously lets me put the house on internet lockdown. Of course, then also to Jared, who basically pushed me entire season to get better. And we started out Sebring, where he had me whooped by 20-30 seconds, and by middle of the season I'm on his tail the entire time. So big shout out to him for pushing me. And of course, if anybody wants to follow our on track antics, Rocksteady Racing on Facebook, we're getting ready to hit High Plains here in August, and we'll be at Heartland Park for the SCCA event Enduro in July 17th, 18th, and 19th.
All right, well, that'll be exciting. I hope to hear from you after that. So thanks again, man. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Austin, who do you have next?
I am standing by with Mr. Oh, that is the wrong channel. I am standing by with Mr. Paul Slavonic. It's going absolutely fantastic. How are you doing?
Well, it was a fun race today. Not my favorite track, but still a lot of fun.
Yeah, the reverse donuts were absolutely being served up today as he took that. When a little bit of trickiness came up there when we were lapping a few of the slower classes that being lapped by the GTOs. What was going through your mind in the later stages of this race?
Just taking it easy. That was really that was supposed to be the name of the game for me. Of course, that all pretty much went out the window as soon as Jordan was on my back bumper after the first lap. But the trick for me was just going to try to be smooth and consistent and not hit the incident points, because it was really easy to get the 15 incident penalty. I was actually just chatting with Jordan. He told me he got 14 incidents. He was kind of pretty close. I think I finished with 9, but 10 minutes into the race, I had 5. So I was a third of the way in the hole with 50 minutes left to race. So that was really the trick for me, just trying to tone it down a little bit after that.
Yeah, the first part of the race where before you went into the pit stops, you were battling with Jordan, and he gave you a few good nudges, and you had a few nudges with him. Walk us through some of your battles with him, especially in the arena section.
Yeah, Jordan, I mean, I love racing with him. He races me hard and clean most of the time. And I know we had a 4X. It didn't really seem like a 4X, but one particular point where I know we stayed side by side through the I don't know what the names of the corners are, but the left turn after the long back straight, I guess that's the arena section.
Yes.
That was some really good racing with him and everything, and really just trying to hold my line, stay on the right side. I know, and typically, especially in a GT car, it's beneficial to take the inside line if you're trying to pass someone. But in a momentum car like the TCR, I felt that you really need to hold on to the outside so you can get on the power sooner, and then it switches back to the right anyway. So that was really the trick, just trying to hold on the track position when fighting against Jordan, trying to keep it on the track, avoid the off-track incidents and everything, and then making sure he didn't get any more 4Xs on me, because that would have put me pretty close to the gutter if that was his plan all along. I don't know.
It was beautiful to watch, beautiful to commentate over, and beautiful just to, well, it was just beautiful to watch you two race throughout today. You're beautiful, I'm saying that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
You're breathtaking. Anyway, before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
Well, I guess this is the final race of the season, so I got to thank you guys for putting on an amazing show for all the people out there. Dan, I got to thank you for setting all this stuff up and making sure that the league is running, and along with Stevie Ray for getting everything organized, and then WRL for hosting this. This was a lot of fun to race some of the real life WRL guys. So yeah, looking forward to next season.
Well, next season is definitely looking forward to see what antics you bring to us, and you certainly made all Texans proud of a win here at COTA, and congrats, and we'll see you next season.
All right, yeah, go Texas, man. I'll see you guys next time.
All right, Marco, any closing thoughts?
What a pleasure it has been to jump into this championship and providing commentary and cameras for the second half of the season. It was a great opportunity. I love covering this series, and I'm hoping for more, even though I wish for these guys to race a bit more on the real tracks and a bit less in the simulator in the next few months. I think they are very, very happy to be back to the real thing, as they have done in Daytona a couple of weeks ago. I think
everyone's getting ready for the next race here at Road Atlanta. So they'll be racing at Road Atlanta, and hopefully after that, getting ready for the season 2, 2020 season 2 for iWRL. But I think this was a great race. Really great season. I mean, seeing Jared Joseph, Todd Carver, duke it out, especially in the second half of the season. And we saw a lot of drivers these last few races, bring it to them. I want to say at Indy, we had, 4 or 5 cars that were fighting for the lead for most of the race. The same thing we were seeing in a few other classes. What are your thoughts, Austin?
It's been a beautiful season to watch these guys race in, and I'm surprised. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing what the next season's classes are going to look like with the amount of driver changes we're going to have, maybe a car change, hopefully, and where we're going to be racing at in season 2 for iWRL. And I honestly can't wait for it. Can it be season 2 tomorrow, please?
We'll do one just for you, Austin. Just for you.
Yes. Nürburgring. Yes.
Well, yeah, no, it's been great. With that, I guess I'll hand it back to you, Austin.
Yeah, thank you, everyone here on Apex Racing TV for joining us here on the iWRL season finale here at Circuit of the Americas. We've been joined by Marco Barbonera, who's behind the cameras and on the microphone, as he loves to do. I'm also joined by Daniel Duer, who's been at my side through most of the season. I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a good night.